Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Emma Borders. Today I wanted to make a video talking about things that you might unintentionally be doing when you're playing. These are things that I found myself doing either because someone pointed it out to me or I just realized much later in my musical journey. So I'm going to spare you from going years playing music not realizing that you're doing some of these things that you definitely do not want to be doing. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. Okay, so this first one is something that I used to do playing mandolin, and I have no idea why I started doing this, but especially if I was playing something really hard or something that I was having to really concentrate trying to get through, I would hold my breath. And I wouldn't realize it until, until I'd had to breathe, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've been holding my breath this whole time. So obviously that's not good. That's not going to help you as you play. That just makes everything more tense. And so just make sure that as you're practicing, as you're playing, especially harder things that you have to concentrate on, make sure you're breathing. I know that sounds super simple, but you wouldn't realize how many people actually do hold their breath when they're playing something hard. So make sure you're breathing. Second thing that I would do a lot is I would shrug my shoulders. I did this both with mandolin and violin. With anything, really, we want to try to keep the body neutral. We want to have good posture as we're playing. And so you want to make sure that you're not unintentionally shrugging your shoulders, because that is, again, going to cause tension, and that's not healthy. And also, especially for mandolin and guitarists, this shoulder is the one that will give me trouble, as I would kind of shrug that one a little bit. So just make sure that when you begin practicing, and even you could do like a little check in the middle of your song, the middle of your piece, and just stop and say, okay, am I relaxed? Are my shoulders down? Because that can make a huge difference in your playing. Okay, number 3 is making facial movement. Now, this isn't bad, but when we start getting into trouble is when we start moving our face unintentionally. So especially when people are learning vibrato on violin, a lot of times people will make movements with their mouth and with their lips, kind of like something like that, something kind of weird. Doesn't look the best. And so there's definitely nothing wrong with moving eyebrows, with moving your mouth, with smiling, all of that, but I want my movements to be intentional, and I want them to create visual energy for the song that I'm playing. I want them to make sense, and I don't want to be unintentionally doing things because my body is reacting out of tension or because there's a hard shift and all of a sudden my lips make a weird movement. And so just pay attention with that, and a great way that you can tell if you're doing any of these things is to video yourself. A fourth thing that I realized that I was doing, and this came a lot later, and I do this only with violin, and for some of you, if you play multiple instruments, you might do one specific thing with one specific instrument, but you don't do it with another, and that was certainly me. With violin, I have this really, really bad habit of grinding my teeth when I play. No, it's not a good habit at all, and I'm working towards fixing that. But just pay attention to if you might be grinding your teeth. I never even thought about that. No one ever really even mentioned it until one day I was playing and I realized, oh my goodness, I'm grinding my teeth. That's not good. Let's try to fix that. This one I have found myself doing with both violin and mandolin, and it makes sense. It's easy to do, and it is kind of hunching down or arching your back as you're playing, because most of the time we're trying to read music, and if we don't have a stand, and a lot of times I'll put my music on a table or on a bed or on the ground even sometimes, and so I'm trying to look at that music, but in doing that I'm actually doing really bad posture, and my back kind of hunches and my shoulders just go down. It's hard on your neck. It's just not a great way to practice. And the hard thing is, if you learn something in that posture, that is going to continue with you as you continue to play that, and you're going to have to try to get rid of that bad posture later. So if you do have a music stand, use it and put it at eye level. We want to be able to see our music at eye level. That way we're not looking up or looking down to try to read the music. This is something that you think about for violin a lot. I don't necessarily think about it for mandolin, but it's the same. If you're reading music, try to get it where you can see it without having to hunch over and bend down and destroy your posture. Last but not least is clenching, specifically with your left hand, whether it's violin, whether it's guitar, whether it's mandolin, whether it's octave mandolin. A lot of times we'll have tension in this thumb when we're pressing against the neck. And especially with mandolin, we have to provide enough pressure to push the strings down. So there is going to be a little bit, but we definitely do not need to be clenching the instrument. And you can tell if you're clenching when you try to shift, if your thumb is tight and you're not able to easily just loosen that and shift up and down the neck. And so that is something that can be super important and can be really hindering if you are clenching. And so that's something that I would definitely encourage you to practice getting rid of, to practice relaxing that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below if you realize that you're doing any of these things, or if you've done other things in the past and you were able to realize them and fix them. I would love to hear about your experience with that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss another video from me. And if you feel like hanging around, I will link a video that I did recently where I talked about my top 10 practicing tips. There's a lot of great advice in there. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.